We'll call the meeting to order. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Clerk Pern, could you do a board roll call, please? I am here.
Treasurer Hopp.
Here.
Clerk Pern, here. Trustee Monet.
Here.
Trustee Detton.
Here.
All present.
Okay, we'll move into the agenda. Additions or deletions. Earlier today, I made 2 additions that would not have shown up on the website. They are on the agenda as it is on that back table. So if you have one with 2 things written on the bottom of it, you have the right agenda for this meeting. And those additions, number 9 is the hiring of Kenneth Wallen as far as the employee at the compost site. And number 10, the hiring of Leanne Wisniewski, or not the hiring, the nomination of Leanne Wisniewski for the Park and Recs Committee. So with those 2 changes, I will move that we approve the agenda as modified. Do we have that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Excuse me. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Okay, opposed the same, and the motion carries. As we did at our last board meeting, we will do again today, and that is to go into the board and department reports first in order to give the public a chance to comment or ask questions for any of the department heads. So we are actually not into the agenda yet. We're working our way to the agenda. For the board reports, the first one here is for the ordinance officer, and I am the acting ordinance officer. As acting ordinance officer, the snow is melting and I can see everybody's junk uptick in complaints. I'm trying to channel everything into written complaints that are signed, no signature, no name, no complaint. Once filed, the name generally would remain anonymous. It's important to remember that one person's blue tarp is another person's blight, and there's 2 sides to every story. And be patient, it's early in the spring. There are several issues with pieces of furniture left at the ends of driveways. Treasurer Hops and I talked with the GFL administrator, and they will begin picking up 1 large item per week rather than only 1 select day a month with only prior notification that it was there. That's a huge step. They're not going to charge us any more to do it. So that should help in some of this regard. And again, we have to have some patience here and get things up to speed. Homes that were vacated and the contents left at road ends on Little Joe Trail. This will not be solved by picking up 1 large item weekly. There's just a pile of stuff. When the renters moved out, they threw everything on the road. I will contact the homeowner now that I have his phone number. I visited the homeowner, not the renter. I visited that person's listed residence. It's in Lyon Township on Monday, but it appears to be a lakefront seasonal cottage. There was nobody there. So I will call them and see. Basically, they have to make some kind of arrangement to get that out of there, we cannot rely on GFL to pick it up in any way, shape, or form like that. As we move forward, there will be more focus on Lyon Township not being 24/7 or even real-time capable in complaint response. For example, issues like disturbing the peace, dogs running loose, and trespassing are just some of the examples of safety issues that should be handled by calling the county sheriff's office for quicker results, not the township. We're never going to be that. We're never going to be able to respond quickly, even in real time. And that's all I have for the ordinance officer. Are there any questions for me as the ordinance officer? Yes, go right ahead.
If that stuff's in Garrish Township.
Can you, if you, use the mic for the record. Not a lot of people complain, but some do that they can't hear well.
If the stuff you're talking about, Jan Krieger, Lyon Township.
Thank you, Jan.
If the stuff you're talking about is in Garrish, why are we losing sleep over it?
It's not in Garrish, the guy who owns the homes on Little Joe Trail, where it's all stacked out at, there's 3 places where the renters left or were evicted, I'm not sure. They've had problems there in the past, but everything that was in the house is at the road, right at the edge of the road. But the guy who owns them, or the person, lives and has a place in Garrish Township, and that's listed as the address that we have for the owner of those homes. But apparently it's not permanent. So I'll catch up with him one way or the other on it. Any other questions for the ordinance officer, acting ordinance officer, I should say? Okay. Next is the sexton. Bruce has been doing a fine job as he works his way into the sexton role. The latest snowfall certainly set things back, but he has all the burial requests received and they're being handled. I'm very happy that being acting sexton is no longer on my list of duties, and it is being handled so well by Bruce. He's a pleasure to work with. Real happy with that. Okay, so moving on through the board comments then. Next would be the fire department. And I have do you have your report to read? Yeah. Okay, I got it, but we'll give you the pleasure of coming up to the microphone and letting us all know what's happening in that end of the world.
I'm J.C. Holder, Fire Chief for Lyon Township Fire Department. As far as the Lyon Township Fire Department EMS goes, right now we're standing at 37 runs to date, 20 of them just this month alone. Okay. This month we turned over, or this year we turned over 5 calls this month. And just to clarify when we mean turn over, what it means is that I didn't have a crew to go on that call. So either Houghton Lake takes that call or Garrish will take that call. They're the primary on that run. It doesn't mean that our residents don't have anybody to come to them. It just means we don't have a crew to serve them. The other thing is, I've been talking with a gentleman through a program called Neighbors United. Okay, and they do a walk called the Walk for the Red Line, for the red. They walk from Detroit to Grand Rapids, and they earn money for cancer for firefighters. And they're doing this all in turnout gear. The first time they did it, they realized wearing the boots was a bad idea. They ended up with a lot of blisters, so now they use tennis shoes. But the rest of the gear they have on. And they want to do a walk from the vets up here on the hill to our fire department on Sunday in June. And they want us to do a pancake breakfast at our station for them. I'm talking with the other chiefs. I will be, and more. I want to get them all involved in it, not just us. I want all 9 fire departments involved in it, because it's not just us. They're also going to do a side-by-side ride from there to the monument on the other side of town, Ross Common. they're asking for another department to do a hot dog sale in their route for the riders to stop and buy hot dogs. That's a good program. I've talked to the guy quite a bit. The other things I've got is our current new engine coming. I was told it'd be here in the next 2 weeks. We took the old one up there. We had a bunch of stuff taken off of that to be fitted into the new engine. I recommend that to the board that we sell the old engine. I have a department that's interested in it. Hopefully it goes through. I talked to CSI up there in Grayling and asked them about a fair price for that truck the year, and they suggested $60,000. I'm leaving some equipment on it that we no longer need, so I'm asking that the board ask $75,000 for it. And when I told them what we were asking, they were very interested. They need it bad. I'm hoping they come and get it. So, like I said, we have a few more things to wrap up with CSI on this new truck, and it'll be here. That's all I got for the fire department.
Thank you, sir. Some of that sounds real encouraging. Does anybody here have a question for him? I have some, but does anybody here got any questions for JC? Okay, I do. Did you have a date for the walk yet, or were you working
All
on
I
it?
know is in June right now. I don't have an exact date for it yet.
Okay, and then as far as selling the old truck, are you asking us to like post that? Because if you have somebody who will buy it, I'm not sure that we even have to
I'm
go
asking for
through
your
that.
permission for you guys to sell it, is what we were asking. Instead
Well, let
of
me check.
sitting around
Yeah, no.
instead of sitting around in the parking lot rotting away.
We can probably figure out some way to make that legit. Yeah. All right, sounds good.
That sounds real good.
And, well, imagine that. Maintenance in the compost site, still JC.
All right, so some of you talked about you hired a new guy for the compost site. That's great. I need another 2 people for maintenance. I can't do this myself anymore. I did it entire last year. I did all the mowing, all the leaves, everything by myself. I had no help. So I need at least 2 people. We went from, at one point, township having 5 guys do this job. And it slowly went down, eventually went to 1. So I'm asking you guys for 2 more people for help on maintenance. There's a lot of things that I do up there by myself, which I shouldn't be, like take the salter off the truck. Everybody thinks, oh, it's just a salter, but I have to yank that out of the truck, let it drop on a pair of tires just to get it off. So, contract. I'm almost positive I gave everyone on the board a copy of the contract we currently have for our resident, or for our resident contractors.
Yeah, we got that coming up later in the agenda.
Okay.
Talk about that.
Yeah, so I also gave you guys a copy of what all the townships charge theirs.
That is correct,
All right.
got that too.
Okay, because it's important. They, believe it or not, they bring a lot of leaves into the township. And I've caught a couple of them that actually bring them from out of the township. And there's nothing I can really do about it, but now I'm asking you guys to do something about it. Move on. We have 2 trailers at the township. Township has a flat trailer we use for hauling our mowers from park to park. And we have a dump trailer that we use for hauling wood chips and dirt and whatever else we need. They are both in need of tires. And I priced them up at Tire Shop in Grayling, $460.36 for one trailer. It's $640, excuse me. And then the other one was $476.64 for all 8 tires we replaced. They are in need of it bad.
Were they dry rotten or?
Dry rotten, bald, 7 of them were going bald.
I don't see it's a problem. I know you had brought it up to me before. We just haven't done anything. I don't know if that's just formally me saying go ahead and buy them.
You all have to agree on it, I believe, so. The other thing I got
Okay.
is Kevin come up there and took a look at the compost site. I have 8 rows of leaves there right now. 8.5, excuse me. The front row is a half of a row, but by the end of the season, it will be either a whole row or another row and a half. I'm running out of room. So, and Kevin's talked about it, that we talked about getting rid of some of it. That'd be great.
Just with regards to the leaf pickup, I believe we've made a deal with GFL, not official, but you probably won't be doing it this year.
Thank you.
So that should help you alleviate some of your responsibilities. So just to let you know that, but it's not official, but it's pretty much.
Okay. I believe that's all I have for maintenance.
All right, thanks. The compost site coming up later. We got a couple of different things we're gonna talk about. I'm with you on the hires, man. We had somebody and they got a better job somewhere else, and such is life. Doing the budget, getting that done today, and this meeting tomorrow as I start hunting for another person. And we even talked about some other different possibilities. One of them being that if we do the GFL leaf pickup, then that gives us a little more time to find somebody, get them in place, find a person and a half, whatever we're gonna do. But yeah, I'm right with you, especially the safety concerns.
Yeah, because you do know that the person that runs the compost is also required to load trailers with dirt and
These
wood
are,
chips.
when we do this later on today, we'll pick the date that he's gonna start, we'll go from there. And that was, like I said, we were gonna bring 2 people in, do the compost last. The ordinance officer, that's not gonna happen for 6 weeks. The other person got a better job, so we're just gonna do the compost now and work it backwards, find the other bodies. Yeah, I'm with you all the way. Tires,
And with, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. And with the, with GFL, gonna help help you out, all those leaves will not be going there either. So they'll be taking them back to where they go, as opposed to when you pick them up, you take them to the compost pile, correct?
Yes, I do, but contractors bring in
Right.
a majority of them.
we'll get into that. There's a
That's
lot
what
going
we're
on there that all the above, you're absolutely correct.
I have a question.
Hang on just a minute. Is there when we get into the compost site, I can probably add a motion to pay for the tires, if you can remind me to do it when we get there.
Am I remembering things wrong, or didn't we have a buyer for some of that stuff?
No,
Was that 2 meetings ago, or?
No, we were looking into buyers, but if I'm not mistaken, I don't know what the percentage is. Kevin would know. It's like, it would cost us 10 grand to move X amount of stuff out of there. Kevin, what was, like 10 grand would end up being,
Yeah, it was about 10,000 to move half of that
yeah. it's a
pile that
crap
we currently
load of
have.
money.
Nobody will buy it. It's,
No, nobody will.
no,
Yeah,
it's just oak trees and pine
I've
needles.
never seen it sold.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, well, actually, you're right, because there was one possibility of using it where there's a landfill, they spread it down as a barrier, but then we gotta get it there.
Oh, yeah, that.
It's
I
like
knew
they're not
there was
gonna
a
come and pick
drawback.
it up.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a drawback, that's.
Yeah, the compost site, we got problems.
Okay.
And not that we can't solve it, but we need to do several things. But if you remind me about the tires, we can probably get that on the road.
And the tires are a place you've been dealing with right along?
Yeah, we even had the truck tires put on there up there. It's Upper Lakes Tire in Grayling.
Yeah, I know them. I've never had a bad experience.
Yeah,
with them.
and they give a fair price. I called Top Tire too, and they're only a couple dollars less, but
Build a rapport with these people, that's fine.
I know them. They got a lot of my money over the last 20 years. Okay, any questions from,
Yeah, the tire company up in Gray, right by the overpass.
Yep.
That's where we go to get our state bid tires. This is where we buy all the ambulance and fire department.
yes, I forgot about that too,
Call
yeah.
them and see if you can
That's
put
who
it
I'm
on.
talking about.
yeah, that's Upper Lakes, I
Yeah, that's
believe.
Upper Lakes, yeah.
We get a state bid, the state bid's out that, whatever brand they get the best price on.
That's good. Well, we're dealing with the right place then. Any other questions for JC
I
from
have a
the,
question.
let's go out there, from the public? Okay, Mr. Monet?
Just a thought, is there any way, because I lived this firsthand, of disposing of some of this compost, and I know this is gonna sound strange, but I fought it tooth and nail and then I just ran out of money. So in the last 12 years, one of my neighbors that bought property up me on the hill up there, decided that it was okay for 10 years running to take his low-lying property that's on a hill and spread 10 years worth of compost and debris from every contractor in the area. Roscommon Road Commission, I made numerous complaints. I hired people from Michigan State to come up here from an environmental perspective to show how many voles are infiltrating in my yard now because they were eating the green stuff, they were living there, they were breeding there. And sure as heck, over 10 years, he built it up high enough with all, I mean, we're talking, 10, 12 trucks a day on these low-lying areas. So now the property is level, and then it just drops off. So my question would be, would there be anything out there that we could find that is a low-lying area and just no, I mean, I hate to say it, but I lived it. I mean, they did it for 10 years.
We were just talking about a half hour ago about how many low-lying areas we could find on township
I just don't know if
property.
that's ever a possibility to look into it because.
We got to look at everything because we
Okay.
got problems. All right, thanks, sir. All right, next would be the clerk.
Well, the clerk is gonna tell you right now, he's been a little remiss in his duties. But Mickey and Donald and Minnie and all the rest of the gang are just fine. I've been down there for 11 days, and I have no money left, but I was shirking my duties on my report today. I just came from the airport for the last meeting. I went home and changed. So I beg your pardon, and I'll do a double report for next month. Sorry.
Okay, any questions for the clerk, perchance? All right, then we're on to trustee Detmer. Pardon me, couldn't hear you. Oh, I skipped him? That's right, because I talked to him.
That's okay.
All right, how about you, Treasurer Hops?
So for February, pretty straightforward. All the taxes are all done and collected other than the delinquents. And now we go on to the county. We paid all the millages out for the winter. Did a 3-hour webinar with BSNA on the Saturday the 4th, which is it was enlightening to say the least. And then worked on the budget, helped these guys with the budget. Obviously, that's done. GFL we're pretty much, as of right now, we technically have a 1-year deal for this next fiscal year at no increase. There'll be no increase to the residents. It's going to stay the same. But we're looking at other options, and it all hinges on this compost site. So we're just going to leave it as is, no increases for this next fiscal year, and then we're going to look at it again after that, after we see how this year goes with the compost, and if we're keeping it, if we're not, that'll change things. So that's done. And our state revenue sharing, of course, we're working on that. Settled all the permanent resident tax refunds, settled up with Camp Cornelia sewer assessments, and then we reconciled the bank books to the general ledger for the months finally of November, December, January, and February. So we're right up to par on that. Waiting for the audit now. And that's it.
Thanks, sir. Any questions to Treasurer Hops from the public? Okay, trustee Detmer would be up next.
I did monthly liquor inspections this month, and then I just spent some other time talking to some people on the phone and in person about a few concerns they have in the township, but that's about it.
Thanks, sir. And trustee Monet.
Yeah, I attended the GLUE meeting in the last month. It was held here, as you're all, or at least a lot of you are well aware. Obviously, we had our work session, and I've been concentrating now, and I've been spending 20, 30 hours a week studying everything I can about the Planning Commission and the Act 110 of 2006, the Zoning Enabling Act, for duties coming up with my position as the board representative in the zoning enabling act, things we're going to have to take care of. So that has eaten up a copious amount of my time.
Okay, anybody got questions for the two trustees here? Okay, I would make a couple of comments. One being that the BS&A stuff, with the help of Pam Scott, I want to remind everybody that we brought her on to help with this. Initially, BS&A said it was going to be 3 to 6 months to try and train us for BS&A, somewhere in the $12,000 range. And we needed help now, in real time. And Pam ended up supplying excellent help in this. So that actually worked out really well, and worked as Treasurer Hopp stated, we're rolling now. Things are getting done faster and quicker, and we're almost getting caught up. So that's good. As far as the supervisor report, I'm going to do something a little different here. Some townships do an annual meeting. We're not going to do an annual meeting, but I'm going to do somewhat of a supervisor's report to bring us up to speed since we took office. As far as my personal time in the last month, the budget, and the fact that we had personal illnesses in the office and the shortages that created took up almost all the time. And then, of course, GLUA. There are some positive things that the Lyon residents can look forward to now after the budget. We will enhance and work to provide handicap access to our parks and possibly handicap-able equipment in the parks, as in a zip line, some different things that we might be able to use for handicap access, and in laying down a substrate that you can run a wheelchair on. We will improve security at the parks and the compost site. I allocated. Allocated means I put money in the budget to potentially spend for these things. It does not mean we're going to do it, but the money is already there, so we don't have to make amendments. For the parks, for the security at the parks and the compost site, to help with that issue of other people coming in and dumping stuff. We will improve this hall building on the outside in the parking lot. We're going to put a new PA system and microphones and move to Microsoft Teams rather than video and rather than Zoom, and work to get our own copy machine rather than rent one on a contract, which we currently have. That's just crazy. We have you can only print so many, and then after that they charge you. Today the toner ran out. Try and call them, maybe tomorrow. It ain't me. Good copy machines are expensive, but it would be worth our time to buy one. I put money aside for that. We will upgrade our cemetery and hall groundskeeping, which is primarily Bruce, by purchasing a tractor with a bed and a snow blowing attachment capabilities to keep paths open on the spur roads in a cemetery that's going to be plowed from now on in the winter. We will revisit all the aspects of the compost site and try and make money rather than lose it on what is really an outdated environmental method. I mean, this was a great idea when we started. It's not panning out. We're just bleeding money through this place. As candidates, just in a little background the last couple of months, we ran on a Common Sense First campaign for lake stewardship. Common sense. After 4 years of $115 million for a weird step sewer, an ordinance requiring insanely expensive high-performance septic systems, Lyon residents wanted common sense to take a seat at the table for a change. And just to make themselves crystal clear at that point, they came out in record numbers and voted to give common sense 5 seats at this table, this board table. So here we sit with a mandate that could not be made any more clear. Protect the lake and don't break the bank. With an upcoming point of sale time of transfer base plate for a septic ordinance, we will start to do exactly that. Another promised stewardship plan was to do a water quality testing in both the lake and the drinking water wells, begin common sense septic inspections, and somehow find the grant money to accomplish all three of those things. We will do that. As your supervisor doing the township budget, it didn't take long to realize that the most cost-effective, time-saving way to finance these three goals was to repurpose the grant money given to GLUA. Although GLUA on the whole has been one of life's lemons, common sense tells us what to do with lemons: make lemonade. So if it was possible, I intended to squeeze every last drop out of GLUA to pay for lake projects that the taxpayers actually want. To pay for lake quality testing, well quality testing, and common sense septic inspections. GLUA tormented our taxpayers for years. Some of us were content to stand up to the bully and win that fight and go home. And that's understandable. But me personally, I wanted to reach into GLUA's pockets and take our lunch money back. I believe that the residents of Higgins Lake deserved to get something in return for all the grief they were forced to endure over the last 4 years. Something, anything, to make up for that political abuse. And I tried very hard to do it. I publicly stated many times I would not walk away from that GLUA sewer study money. If there was even a chance, it could be used for our lake stewardship purposes instead. And I've remained true to my word. But the money's gone now. Representative Bergman finally stated in writing that the GLUA no longer, in writing, his statement in writing ends up showing that GLUA can no longer serve any possibility of a beneficial financial purpose for Lyon Township's common sense plans, which is what I was chasing. I sincerely hope the federal funding does not somehow now find a way to support another unwanted sewer project, mandated intrusions or expansion anywhere around Higgins Lake without EPA-based proof of need. But if the past is a prologue, that may be a fool's fantasy on my part. Nevertheless, it's now time for Lyon Township and this supervisor to move on. It's still my job to represent the people here and to act in their best interest. It is clear to me that after 4 years, the people not only want to close the book on this GLUA saga, they want to throw the book in a bonfire, and I fully support that sentiment. So I will now vote to dissolve GLUA as a township board member and end the step sewer proposal nightmare once and for all. Obviously, I can't speak for Garish. Garish now has its Health of Higgins Lake initiative and will do what Garish does. But for the first time in years, and this is the good news, the residents of Lyon Township will finally take a free breath and enjoy summer at this lake without worrying about a sewer or a high-performance septic system mandates. You can all rest easy now, knowing that your elected officials do not intend to resurrect PA 188 or to shove unpopular projects down the throats of the taxpayers. In Lyon, we'll move on with lake stewardship. We will ask the Higgins Lake Land Conservancy, the Higgins Lake Property Owners Association, Higgins Lake Foundation, and the Central Michigan District Health Department to join us in the common sense efforts first approach. And if the Health of Higgins Lake Committee moves in a common sense direction, we would immediately welcome the chance to work with them. My primary financial focus going forward will be, as Mr. Monet stated, the Planning Commission to become very proficient at writing grant proposals and eventually attaining grant money for lake improvements from any sources, other sources. Now that the GLUA money possibilities for that purpose are stone dead, and I have the utmost confidence that Trustee Monet is going to nail this and get really, really good at it with the rest of the board. So for now, we righted the ship, we checked most of the rigging, we're united and moving forward. The Lyon Township Sewer and Septic Ordinance nightmare is finally over. God bless America. So that being said, we can move into the actual agenda. And the first thing being the approval of the consent agenda. It's supplied in a packet. I believe most of you should have it in the board here. And this time it consists of the most recent payroll check register, numbering from 228 to 314, the check ledger for the payables, previous minutes from the following board meetings: 212 work session, 219 board meeting, 228 special meeting, 3-5 special meeting, 312 work session. That is in the consent agenda, and I would ask now that we entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, as just stated. Do we have a motion to approve it as stated?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have the motion. Is there any discussion on it? Okay, we'll end the discussion. So we have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Could we have a roll call on that, please, Clerk Pern, just to be sure?
Certainly. Supervisor Bertrand,
Yes.
Treasurer Howe,
Yes.
Trustee Monet,
Yay.
Trustee Detmer,
Yes.
Clerk Pern, yes.
Okay, the motion carries. So moving into the agenda, excuse me. First thing on the agenda is the Freedom of Information Act fees charged to the public. The backstory on this, for those who do not go to the work sessions or weren't there, at the 319 work session, 319.25, the consensus was a FOIA request should be handled on a case-by-case basis, relevant to the staff workload created, and determining if a fee should be charged. This is different than the current practice of supplying all information that can be legally released for no charge, which was me when I took over as acting FOIA coordinator. So basically, it was suggested that Lyon Township follow the township FOIA policy as written, i.e. fees can be charged in some circumstances, but not for all, according to the FOIA policy. So that being said, we are here today to see if we have a motion that Lyon Township will follow the current township FOIA policy as written, effective immediately, with the understanding that I was doing something different, we would go back to the written policy as it is. So do we have that motion?
I make a motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Okay, we have a motion. Is there any discussion on this?
How is this gonna be determined whether a fee is charged or not? Time that it takes the trustee or the board member, I should have said, to dig up this information?
If you get into the FOIA policy itself, it stipulates a couple of different things, including the person, the employee who makes the least, getting it and charging that percentage. It also includes that you could charge for building, not maintenance, but I mean anything that the township does could be worked into the charge for a FOIA request. And we have seen that happen. We have turned some in the past before we were elected that were in the several $100 range for that exact reason. At the same time, there's a caveat there that says if it is for the good of the township, it should be free. I never liked entertaining the thought of arguing with somebody about what they're asking for the good of the township. So if they want records and things like that, yeah, I mean, I get that. If they say, hey, I want to see what you're doing, I want to see your, for example, your payroll. I want to know the hours that everybody's working. Well, that might upset some people. In my book, we're transparent. They get, as far as I'm concerned, they get it. So the issue here would be is if somebody makes a request, if it comes to me as a FOIA coordinator, if it's something from the treasurer's office or the clerk's, I would forward it right to them. And you can make the determination on how much time you spent on it. And that would be the fee that we would set for it. That would be going back to that policy, and I believe when we talked about it before, it's a case-by-case thing. Okay, that's what this motion is saying.
Good explanation, thank you.
Is there any other discussion on it? Okay, so as stated, we have the motion. This will involve money at times, so could we have a roll call, please, on that motion, Mr. Pern?
Sure. Supervisor Bertrand,
No.
Treasurer House. Yes. Trustee Detmer,
Yes.
Trustee Monet.
Yay.
Okay, I didn't get that one. I thought he was just.
Yay.
Oh, no, not like Ray, but
Pern, yes.
Okay, motion carries 4-1. Township, the requirements. Okay, next thing on the agenda is a resolution to opt out of Public Act 152. How are we doing on time? Okay. The backstory, after discussion on this at the 319 work session, and again, I'm repeating this for people who weren't there, the board felt approving this resolution to opt out was one way to effectively review without losing the current health insurance policy comparative to all other options for township employee health insurance choices. The point being that the board simply needs more time to explore the other insurance and payout options, and I did say payout, cash is an option here, to make a more informed decision on future health insurance costs. It was not discussed at the work session, but I would add that the board revisit whatever our decision is in 3 months, potentially with alternatives in hand, including the possibility of using the PA 152 caps with our current insurance carrier, which Mr. Monet brought up at the work session. So for the purpose of sitting here right now, all of that being said, is there support for a motion approving the resolution to opt out of Public Act 152 and revisit the township health insurance employee policy in 3 months? So is there support for that motion as stated?
Are you making the motion?
The way I said that, I am. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have the motion. Any discussion? I'm sure there is. Should be, from the board members.
So we're gonna put this, health insurance thing on the back burner for 3 months, but still do, some, dirt, grinding here, finding out, what we can do for options.
That's pretty much what it says. I'm adding the 3 months because otherwise we're just doing it without doing the grinding on the other options.
Yeah, okay.
And the possibility, as Trustee Monet said, well, what happens if we just do the cap on it? So basically, you're looking at 3 months to try and work out some of those details.
Okay.
Is there any other discussion on it from the board? Okay, this involves money too, so could we have a roll call, please, on that motion, Mr. Pern?
Sure. Trustee Monet,
Nay.
Trustee Detmer,
Yes.
Trustee House.
Treasurer.
Ah,
Yes.
Sorry. I thought your name was Tom.
A little testy over there, aren't you?
Okay.
Been a long day?
You got busted. It's been a long day for me. Clerk Pern, yes. Supervisor Bertrand?
Yes. Okay, the motion carries 4-1. Okay, let me get this out of the way.
It'll be a double one that day for you.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda, and this is a load, the posting of the 2025-26 meeting dates for the board, the commissions, the committees, and holidays, the township would be closed. Backstory, it's a mandatory function of the board and it needs approval this evening. So I'm going to read off some of the changes and then we will vote on the whole thing in mass, I hope. And as I'm doing the changes, stop me if the dates are not going to work for any of the board members here. So there are some new things in here for the Township Board: April, May, July, September, October, November, December, January, February, barring any holiday conflicts, will remain as the work session being on the second Wednesday of the month at 12:30 and the board meeting the third Wednesday at 7. New this year, the board meetings in June and August will be on the following dates: Saturday, June 21st at 10 a.m., Saturday, August 23rd at 10 a.m. On both of those Saturdays, the township office will then be open from 9 till 1 o'clock. Kevin and I will be here together, I hope, and the receptionist is willing to adjust her schedule on those days. Those were two she could do it. The other dates would be difficult for her, possibly Courtney. As far as Greg, at this point, we have not discussed this with him. Personally, I think someone from the clerk and the treasurer's office should be here on those Saturdays if we can make that happen. We had discussed previously about trying to do this, and we are at the point right now that that is part of this proposal. For the Board of Review,
Well, real quick, you said to interrupt, so I'll interrupt.
you sure, go right ahead.
I will try my hardest, but Saturdays in the summer season where I work, so the chances of me getting here are slim to none, but I can certainly try.
Yeah, and again, thank you for saying that, because if you weren't at the work session, you wouldn't know that we discussed that before. For the Board of Review meeting dates, Town Hall, July 22nd, 11 a.m., December meeting, December 9th at 11 a.m., March 3rd, Board Organization meeting, March 9th, protest hearing, March 10th, the protest hearing. When we approve this, this will all be posted. We didn't put copies out because we don't know that we're going to approve it exactly like this. But if we do, then it becomes public and will be posted. 2025 holiday closures will be adopted. We will be adopting them, and there's a copy in here because it pretty much comes from the county. The Planning Commission meeting dates. Trustee Monet as the Township Board liaison, as generally agreed at the work session. One meeting in April and one in May, with two more scheduled through the fiscal year. That meets the mandated at least 4 per fiscal year, I believe. And all others as needed based on the Planning Commission or the Township's Board recommendations. I'm suggesting that the first Monday of every month, for the meetings. Per the work session agreement, that's April 7th and May 5th, 7 p.m. Township Hall. Mandated fiscal year yearly meeting number obligations will be met by scheduling another meeting August 4th and October 6th. All others and training dates would be as needed. You want me to stop there and talk for a second or keep rolling? Okay. Parks and Recreation Committee meetings, Supervisor Bertrand's the Township Board liaison to the Parks and Rec Committee. And again, as generally agreed upon at the work session, one in April, one in May, and others scheduled as needed by the Parks and Rec Committee, and the Township Board. I'm suggesting the first Thursday of every month for the Park and Rec meetings. That would be April 3rd and May 1st to start, 7 p.m. Township Hall. There is no mandated meeting number for the Parks and Rec Committee. All other meetings then and training dates would be as needed. Next would be the Zoning Board of Appeals. We did not discuss this at the work session, but the ZBA meetings are only as needed. Were previously set for the second Monday of every month at 7 p.m. in the Township Hall. We don't need to change that. If one comes up, it would end up being at 7 p.m. on the second Monday. Okay, for the final version of the meeting dates and the holiday closures, I would entertain a motion to approve the resolution adopting them as reviewed for fiscal year 2026. Do we have that motion?
I will make that motion.
Okay, and I just realized there's an error right there. I would entertain a motion to adopt them. This is not a resolution. So let me restate that. For the final version of meeting dates and holiday closures, I would entertain a motion to adopt them as reviewed for fiscal year 2026. Sorry about that. Do we have that motion?
Yeah, Mr. Hobson, I'll second.
Mr. Hops made a motion, Mr. Purtis second. Okay, we have the motion. Any discussion on it from the board members?
Almost, oh, sorry.
Oh. Are these dates for 25 or 26
It is, well,
that we just discussed, that you just read off?
they are going into the next fiscal year, so they would be starting from April 1st through March 31st. So
So it'd be
starting in
20 fiscal year 25, 26.
26. What's on here?
26, just 26.
Oh, I got 25, 26. What do you got?
Me too.
As reviewed for fiscal year 2026.
Oh, that's what I got in the motion. Oh, okay, let me change that again then. So let me back up on the motion. For the final version of meeting dates and holiday closures, I would entertain a motion adopting them as reviewed for fiscal year 25 and 26. 25/26. Okay, do we have that motion?
I'll make the motion again.
I'll second it.
Okay, if you use the mics, it's gonna come out on the tape. Okay, we have the motion. Any discussion on it from the board members?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the zoning board of appeals. It says we did not discuss this, but blah, blah, blah. And then it says because this involves money, but a lot of these involve money. We're including them all. That's why we're doing a roll call then.
Yeah, this motion is for everything we just said for the last hour.
Okay.
Okay, end of discussion. It involves money. Could we have a roll call, please, on that motion, Mr. Byrne?
Treasurer Hobbs,
Yes.
trustee Detmer,
Yes.
trustee Monet,
Yay.
clerk Pern, yes. Supervisor Bertrand.
Yes. Okay, the motion carries. That means that tomorrow morning they would get posted on the website, and we need to send them to the paper. Okay. Number 4 on the agenda is to review, this is, I have it in my sing-along, a little difference. But number 4 on the agenda is to review the animal ordinance as it pertains to chickens. This is about adopting an animal ordinance and allowance for chickens in residential properties. As discussed at our 3/19/25 work session, the board generally favors an ordinance that would allow a limited number of chickens to be kept in residential areas. The board has had a chance to review the final draft ordinance, and these are the next steps that we must follow. The zoning ordinance amendments start at the Township Planning Commission. They must set and hold a public hearing on the matter with proper notice, 15 days in the newspaper. If approved, the Planning Commission can then send it to the County Planning Commission or Department. Is there a County Commission or County Planning Department? No, just give me a word. Should I use Okay, give me a word that it is.
It is a county commissioner representative. I can explain it when we get to the discussion.
All right, let me change that word though. Where the county must be given 30 days to provide comment or review. After the 30-day comment period, the township board can consider the ordinance at their next meeting and adopt it by vote. A summary of the ordinance must then be published in the newspaper. That being said, I would entertain a motion today that only to approve sending the ordinance as written to the planning commission for review at their first planning commission meeting, April 7th. Do we have that motion?
I make a motion.
Do we have a second?
Sure, I'll second.
Okay, we have a second. So, off to the races. We have a motion. How about discussion?
All right, so first of all, with the County Planning Commission, in 2022, under the Zoning Enabling Act, Roscommon County dismantled their county planning commission. But per statute, they must also provide for a representative to still review amendments to ordinances or otherwise. And to follow what Supervisor Bertrand said, they also have, which could speed up the process, under Act 110 of 2006, Section 125.3307, Section 307, they have the right to waive their right to review by resolution. So that may speed up the process. That being said, at this time, I would recommend that the board table the ordinance and not advance it to the Planning Commission for the following reasons. I have been in many conversations now in the last 2 weeks with the MTA and other organizations. The ordinance is not titled correctly, and the ordinance is not numbered correctly. So Ordinance 35 that was passed quite a few years ago has to remain intact as Ordinance number 35. We as a board have the right to amend Ordinance 35, and we could title it 35A, or we could go the next in line, which would be, let's say, number 67 right now, and it'd be an ordinance to amend Ordinance number 35, but we cannot touch 35. The language has to be clear and concise, and that we must put in there, are we going to amend Ordinance 35, or are we going to replace and repeal 35? And there's a difference, too, when it comes to publishing and cost. If we repeal and replace, we will have to take the entire ordinance in its entirety, well, I said that twice, but anyway, and publish it, which will cost more, as opposed to just an amendment, which you only have to title what sections you're amending and publish that. So for that reason, at this point in time, I think advancing it to the Planning Commission would just, because under state law, we would have to send it back. Planning Commission gets it. If there's any changes or recommendations, they send it back to the board. Board has to review. If there are any changes, it's got to go back to the Planning Commission again, so it start all over. So I just think at this time, until it's corrected properly, that we should table it.
Thank you, sir. Is there a possibility that we can send it to the Planning Commission by stating that we would send an updated version to you that would not be this exact version? And the reason being?
Well, you can send it as such, and then the Planning Commission is the only ones who have the right to say it's done wrong, and then the Planning Commission would send it back to the board for revision, and then the board then would revise it and then send it back to the Planning Commission again, who would then hold the hearing and then send it to county. So
I got all of that. What I'm saying is if there's a lot of time between now and the first Planning Commission
Sure.
meeting. If we change the wording in that and then send it to you,
yeah,
Can
we'd
we-
have to hold another meeting.
well, that's what I'm asking
Yeah,
right now. Can
yeah.
we, instead of another meeting, can we say that we will send you
No.
a revised?
No.
Well, I hear you saying no.
Well, because if statute dictates that
Yeah, I get all that.
we're
I'm just
passing this on to the Planning Commission, this isn't legal in its current form.
I understand what
So-
you're saying. Then if you are not in favor of somehow modifying it right now, we're back to the same situation where we end up voting on this motion if we cannot change the wording in the motion.
Well, it also comes down to, as a board, we need to decide what do we want to do. Do you want to just amend the one section that is relevant to why this is being done in the first place, and then all we have to do is title and number that paragraph, if you will, and only publish that, and that's it, and you're done? Or this whole top section would have to be reworded under statute for the repeal and replacement of 35.
Let's just amend it.
If we can't amend it now, I don't have a problem trying to amend it and then do a special meeting adjacent to one of the Wednesdays that we're mostly all here anyway.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
That would still
Yeah.
get it to the Planning
Right.
Commission at the time of
Absolutely.
the first date.
Does that go along with the way Steve and that other lady were going to propose things, or are they okay with this?
Well, it's more about, to me, it's about getting it to the planning commission at their first meeting.
Right.
If that's how we have to do it, that's how we have to do it.
We have to do it the right way.
And a special meeting adjacent on a Wednesday, I know people don't like meetings, but it ain't that big of a deal. We could knock this out in about 15 minutes at a special meeting. So, let me back up a little bit, and when we approve sending this ordinance as written. Okay, we can do the motion, and I'm not gonna ask everybody how to vote, but we can certainly do the motion and have it not be supported. Or I would rather do that than strike it, to tell you the truth. So is there any more discussion on it? I think that the discussion somewhat indicates that we should not pursue this, but we can follow through with it and.
Absolutely pursue it, just not advance it to the planning commission.
No, I'm saying to finish this motion or strike it. I'd rather finish this motion and see where the vote goes because we're planning on amending it. So for the particular motion to approve sending it to the planning commission as is, you can follow through with it and vote accordingly. Okay, is there any other discussion? That being said, I would entertain a motion that we approve sending only this ordinance as written to the planning commission for a review at their first planning commission meeting April 7th. Do we have that motion? Okay, I'll ask one time. Yeah, he did. So we do have we have the motion. Do we have a second? Motion from,
We had a motion, we had a second, we discussed it, now it's a vote on it.
oh, he seconded it already?
That's right, we discussed it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I backed up too far. Okay, then we have the motion. The discussion is over. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed, the same. Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Okay, so that means that this motion will not pass at a vote of 4-1. Or does not carry. Okay. No, only I'm following this, so I'm gonna try and come back to it.
I missed something.
No, I do need to get back to it, yeah. So we did the animal ordinance. On the agenda that was given out today, the next thing is to update the current agreement with building, plumbing, and electrical inspectors. That, at our 319 work session, we had a lengthy discussion about formalizing contracts to continue with the services of Robert and Moore, as a building inspector, Larry Danzer as mechanical and plumbing inspector, Bruce Dean as electrical inspector. It appeared that the board generally agreed to not formalize a contract, but to continue with a pay-by-month service verbal agreement, severable by either party, to be reviewed as needed by either party. All current applicable fees, costs, and payments would remain the same. As stated, I will make that motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have the motion. Is there any discussion on this for the board?
Was there any thought to the idea of breaking these up into individual votes instead of clumping them together?
None
No.
whatsoever.
None? Okay.
They were presented as 3 contracts by Robert, and as we discussed, the focus was mostly, we didn't want to do 3 years, maybe don't even really want to do 1. We'll see how this thing is going to work out. Robert did not want to come off as 90%, and that's okay. To me, it's okay personally that if it's monthly, severable by either party.
But the main issue then is, rather than the 3 or even 1, we're talking monthly.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Personally, that keeps me happy.
Yeah?
Another part of this that I should say is that the savings by coming off of 90% just a rough guess, based on what happened in Richfield, and they have a bigger township, I'd say the savings might only be in the $4,000, $4,500 range for a different inspector. But that's $4,500 that we can save for the township. So you can look at that two ways. Also, Robert stands on his availability. In either case, let me again say if there's any more discussion on this. Okay, it involves money, so could we have a roll call, please, on that motion, Mr. Byrne?
Trustee Monet,
Nay.
trustee Detmer,
Yes.
trustee, treasurer Hop,
Yes.
supervisor Bertrand,
Yes.
clerk Pern, no.
Okay, the motion carries at 3-2. Okay, the one thing that I skipped, I'm gonna go back to right now, and it is not on this agenda, but this is titled Paying UHY. UHY is a CPA firm, and they do a lot of different work. But we have an outstanding bill with them that we need to pay. So that being said, I would entertain a motion to approve paying the company UHY. The fee was $200 an hour, and the approximate time was 2 hours, but I'm not sure that we nailed down the exact amount of money, for a service to the board doing a Teams meeting concerning budgeting protocol.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, so we have the motion. Is there any discussion on it?
Yes, I thought they were very helpful. I was involved in the discussion there, and I had questions. They answered every single one.
You are correct, sir. I thought it was good. I would remind everybody that these people at $200 an hour, Pam Scott has been helping us tremendously at a lot less money than that. So it actually worked out well in the end on all of that. Okay, so if the end of the discussion involves money, could we have a roll call vote, please, Mr. Pern?
Supervisor Bertrand,
Yes.
treasurer Hop,
Yes.
clerk Pern, yes. Trustee Detmer,
Yes.
trustee Monet.
Yay.
Okay, the motion carries. So back to where we were after building inspector contracts. On the agenda would be to set the fiscal year 25-26 fees for the Lyon Township compost site. Oh my goodness. Lyon Township now needs, whoops. I skipped Eagle, sorry, back up one. Would be the, Lyon Township now needs to be approved annually by Michigan's Eagle to operate our compost site. That cost was $750, and the service was completed. I will make the motion that we pay Eagle that fee. Do we have a second on that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion. Any discussion on that? We can end the discussion. That involves money, so could we have a roll call, please? Clerk Pern.
Sure. Treasurer Hop,
Yes.
clerk Pern, yes. Trustee Detmer,
Yes.
trustee Monet,
Yay.
supervisor Bertrand.
Yes. Okay, the motion carries. Now I'm going back to where I was trying to get. Set the fiscal year 25-26 fees for the Lyon Township compost site. We got a bit of a mess. I'll try not to drone on. At the work session, we discussed raising these fees in order to deal with hauling the compost out of the site to make room for more. In researching that yesterday, I went to, our attorney had said that should be a resolution. I went to amend the resolution. We don't have a resolution. At that point, I had suggested that we possibly hold off on this, slow down a little bit, and move it to where we could do a resolution and also allow the public to have a little bit more warning than to just hit them up. And another suggestion was to do a graduated increase. So one version of this would be that we could potentially do a graduated increase on the fees and approve a resolution on, I believe I had March 14th, that's wrong, it should have been April 16th board meeting. So we could kick it around, get a resolution, fine tune it in whatever way we want as a board, and then approve it on April 16th. The other version would be to immediately do it today at this meeting and pass it as a motion for to amend the rules and the policy for the compost operations, which does stipulate this stuff, but it's not a resolution. To do it today, make it effective April 1st, and at that point, we would repeal the previous fees. We are stuck in a situation where I'm throwing it out there for board discussion because we can do a motion in any way we think we should based on our discussion here. And then I'll make a motion and we can go with it and see what happens. So the previous talk about the fact that we got compost problems, we got leaves, we got to move them. It's all somewhat wrapped into this. And Treasurer Hops, I'd like you to speak a little bit, if you would, about the fee schedule and how that coordinates with the cost of getting stuff out of there that we don't even know what to do with.
Well, it's for me, it opens April 1st, and that is when the new proposed increase should take effect. I don't want to drag this out, another month. It opens April 1st. We raise the fee to $800 for all contractors because we have to generate some more revenue in order to move this. We have money in the budget to pay for the cost of the compost, that being the wages and the rental of the tractor, but we have to generate revenue to move some of this. So I say let's go with the $800 starting April 1st for all contractors.
Okay, thank you, sir. Could you also explain how we need the money to haul it? What was the cost of the haul?
It's $600 they will charge to haul 60 yards at a time.
And that for the truck, again, what we were talking,
That's
10,000?
per load. That's
Right, but that
us
came out-
loading it though.
Yeah, $10,000 for approximately how much of what we had there?
Yeah, about 50% of what we have is going to cost about $10,000.
Yeah, this thing is bleeding.
Was this for non-resident contractors and resident contractors?
All contractors.
And so they're going to be taken from 150 to 800 in one shot?
Yes, they are.
I'm just clarifying. I just want to make sure I heard that.
The treasurer from hell here.
What about the one-time key fee?
That's still $100.
I was shocked that we were 4 or 5 times lower than all the other townships around here. No wonder they're coming here. For God's sakes, it doesn't make any sense not to raise the price. I was against it to begin with, and I says, well, Kevin, what about the residents? And he explained to me, contractors are contractors, and they're all going to put a lot of stuff in there.
Well, when it comes to contractors, how do you differentiate between
Yeah.
resident contractors, non-contractors? I mean,
I didn't agree with you, but I do now.
We could have more discussion. I would prefer more time. I can live with it either way, basically. If anybody's got anything else to suggest, it's starting to sound like I could do a motion to do it immediately.
well, if it doesn't get raised for April 1st, I would then suggest we don't open it until it does get raised, because what's the point in leaving it at 150 for another month? Then everybody barrels in here and
Not kidding.
unloads everything in that month, and then what?
Can I just ask, it seems like based on all these other townships and, you know, are in city, they have the resident contractor, so that's very easy to figure out by someone's driver's license who lives and who doesn't live in the township. And I'm wondering why they would put that in there, other than for the simple fact that since you are a tax-paying citizen of this community, there should be some, leniency, I'll call it. So I'm not too sure. I don't agree with.
Well, you know they do charge to haul this stuff away, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So resident, non-resident, illegal resident, whatever it is, I just think that it should be across the board.
I agree.
Okay, is there any more? Well, I think I can do something here and we'll see what happens. If there's any more discussion, let's have it. Okay, let's try this. As a suggestion, it would be that a motion that the board approve amending the compost site agreement reflecting the new fees to be adopted at this meeting and effective April 1st. We also would need to give notice that the old fees are repealed. So on that, adopting the fees as presented and effective April 1st, I would entertain a motion on that as stated.
Can include the new price in that motion?
Yeah, adopting the new fees.
Yeah, then I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have the motion. Is there any more discussion? We started out with discussion, but of course, if there's any more, we can do it. Okay, we will end that discussion. Okay, so this would involve money, so could we have a roll call, please, on that motion, Mr. Pern?
Treasurer House,
Yes.
Clerk Pern, yes. Supervisor Bertram,
Sure, yes.
Trustee Detmer,
Yes.
Trustee Monet.
Nay.
Okay, the motion carries at 4-1. Contract building. Next is a resolution, or not, it's on the agenda as a resolution on GLUA with a question mark. I put this on there in the sing-along as dissolving GLUA. At the Garish board meeting, they came up with a version, on how they would want to do it, and I can't remember the exact wording, but it was a matter of implying that they would hope that Lyon Township would do the same thing. Seemed to put the onus on us. So I got a hold of our attorney, and his advice on the matter is that we don't have to pass anything yet. We should wait until we get in touch with Garish's attorney to discuss his timeline for dissolution. I am aware that for whatever reason, even though Garish passed this last week, their attorney has not reached out to our attorney yet. In either case, me personally, I'm probably always going to follow the attorney's advice or be leaning that way. So I'm going to say that I'd entertain a motion that we follow our legal firm's advice as stated, which is we don't have to pass anything yet. we should wait until we get in touch with Garish's attorney and discuss timeline for dissolution. So do we have that motion?
What is the motion?
To follow the attorney's advice that I hate cutting his quotes off, but it would be, the motion would be to follow our attorney's advice that we don't have to pass anything yet concerning GLUA. We should wait until we get in touch with Garish's attorney to discuss his timeline for the dissolution. So I would entertain a motion that we follow our legal firm's advice as stated. I'll ask one more time. Okay, we do not have a motion. And next, some good news. Well, it's all good news, right? The hiring of Kenneth Wallen as the township employee at the compost site and other duties as assigned. I distributed his resume to the board members. I would add a couple of caveats that Kenneth would be working. I didn't put the days in. Is it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the compost site's open?
Only Monday, Wednesday, Friday, well, it's only twice a year, a month. It's in the spring and the fall. The rest of the year, it's only 2 days a week.
Okay, I'm going to say Kenneth will be working a variable schedule at a rate of $15 per hour. And then I'll change that for up to 15 hours a week and as needed per week. Kenneth has some experience running around with tractors. He's done this kind of stuff. He's got a pretty good slate as far as public interaction because he did a lot of sales and interaction with people. He's retired. He's willing to work. He's willing to do this. That being said, is there a motion to hire Kenneth as stated for the compost site?
I will make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, well then we have the motion. Is there any discussion on it?
Yes. You said Monday.
Please use your mic.
Oh, you said Monday, Wednesday, Friday, J.C. That it was never open.
It's not
To-
Monday, it's Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Yeah, that's the way it used to be. Okay.
Would I have that wrong?
Maybe I heard it wrong then. Sorry.
Ugh.
They wish it was open more.
We could raise the price higher.
Yeah, let's go to 1,500. That'll close them down.
Even the residents wish it was open more.
I'm going to only throw this out there that I'm not sure it was clear to Kenneth that it involved the weekends as much. Okay, I mean, we can hire him, and if it doesn't fly, it doesn't.
This was for the residents, their ease to get there.
For some reason, didn't it used to be Saturdays and Wednesdays?
Saturdays and Wednesdays.
Saturdays and Wednesdays.
All summer long.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
October through November, it's Saturday, Wednesdays, and Sunday.
Yeah.
And in June, I think it's June through July or something, it's Saturdays, Wednesdays.
And it's been that way for quite a while.
Okay, well, at a rate of 15 an hour, up to 15 and as needed. Does it say 18 on yours? Okay, all right, yeah, it's 15. For up to 15 hours and as needed per week. So we have the motion, the second. Any other discussion on it? I would only add that we got to mess with the personnel issue here, and the reason it says and as needed is because this thing could flip if we can get another person, if we need him to do something else on occasion. I'm not real sure how the next 2 weeks is going to flow. But we need to bring him in. We need to get him in here. We need to get bodies in here.
I made a mistake, it's in May, it's Sunday, Wednesday, and Saturday as well.
Okay, let's just call his schedule variable. Okay, so, well, any other discussion? Okay, end of discussion. This is called, it is money, Do we have a roll call, please, on that motion, Mr. Byrne?
Sure. Trustee Monet,
Yay.
trustee Detmer,
Yes.
clerk Kern, yes. Treasurer House,
Yes.
Supervisor Bertrand.
Yes, he can start August 2nd, compost site will be open office April 1st. I'm sorry, April 2nd.
That's better.
Yeah, a little different there, ain't it? I got a crease in my paper. Well, I got a crease in my paper. Open April 1st, so he's actually, the only reason we did that is because I cannot see hiring a guy on April Fool's Day. That just doesn't feel good.
It's a joke.
Yeah. Okay, then that motion carries. And I wanted, if he was here, I thank him for coming on board. I think he's going to be a real good fit. Okay. Next and last on the agenda, I would like to add Leanne Wisnowski to the Parks and Rec Committee. She and her husband Matt, she has offered to do this. I've known about it for a while. But they do the lease at the South State Park store. Her son has been a friend of my grandson for a long time, so I know her. I know that she is a quality person and a good businesswoman. She was interested in this, and she would be willing to chair and even work extra time on getting the grants as needed. She does have some capabilities with grants and is good friends with Diane Nellis, who has written some grants. Again, we're trying to shift all the focus towards getting money. That's a good fit. So let's see, I want her here. We need her here. That puts us at 6 on that committee, which is fine. I had originally didn't think we'd see any contentious votes coming out of there, and it was explained to us that on a committee, you don't really need the odd number to settle a vote. I think she's a good fit for this thing. And dare I say, we don't have a lot of women serving on any of our boards. I think she will be a very nice touch and a different perspective. All that being said, do we have a motion to nominate Leanne Wisnowski to serve on the Parks and Rec Committee?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So we have the motion. Is there any any discussion from the board? I'm sorry.
Yeah, just to clarify, the nomination's coming from you, so we are here to approve her. You asked for a motion to nominate her. We don't need an emotion.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're correct. Let me back it up then. I would ask for a motion to approve the nomination of Leanne Wisniewski to serve on the Parks and Rec Committee. Do we have that motion?
Yeah, same thing for me.
Okay, well, all right, do we have a second? I'll second it. Okay, so we have the motion. Is there any discussion from the board on the matter? Thank you for that clarity and keeping us on protocol, sir. Any other discussion? Okay. This could involve money, or at least decisions about money, and does involve money. So could we have a roll call, please, on that motion, Mr. Pern?
Supervisor Bertrand,
Yes.
Treasurer Huff,
Yes.
clerk Kern, yes. Trustee Detmer,
Yes.
trustee Monet.
Yay.
Okay, the motion carries. Glad to have your skill set involved in the township, Leanne. It's going to be a pleasure. Okay. Let me throw this one out to the board. It's not on the agenda, but I have it under announcements. We were talking about a cleanup day for the township building. I am not in favor of, during our regular working hours, having us out there pulling plants and screwing around. I just don't think that's what the township put us here for. But to have a cleanup day on a Saturday sounded like a reasonable good idea. I did not get a chance to talk to Teresa about nailing a day down. But as board members right now, we can probably pick a Saturday before the end of April and make an announcement and put it on the webpage, it will have a cleanup day. And any of the residents that want to come here and help out or screw around, probably buy some pizza, kind of make it a deal, would be able to. So has anybody got a preference on a day? You know, it may rain, well, that's what happens, but if anybody's got an idea or is looking at their phone or a calendar, I don't care which one. Saturdays are good for me. Sundays are a problem.
Yeah, I was just gonna suggest, because my whole property is gardens and I live to pull weeds and put stuff down, but I can't do a Saturday, unfortunately. Sunday would be fine. I could stay here all day and pull weeds or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not that religious, but I don't know if
We can
that
do it
sets
both
well.
days, Saturday and a Sunday.
You can't eat that one.
You can do the last weekend in April. I don't know what day that is.
We could probably get a lot done over the course of a weekend, but we're gonna have to prep and get into buying the flour, doing some stuff. I don't have a problem with that. It really doesn't matter to me. I just don't want to do it during our regular working hours. Okay, so as far as an announcement, would you guys generally agree then that the last weekend in April, is that what we're talking about? Okay, well then we'll get that on the webpage. Okay. As per usual,
Before public
go ahead, sir.
one thing. Starting tomorrow, or perhaps it's Friday, I'm not
Use your microphone,
Oh,
please.
yeah. Starting tomorrow, or perhaps it's the next day, I have to look at my calendar, but voters' registrations begin, so there's a school, I think it's a money issue, starting in May. And so I'll be taking the reservations, issue ballots, anybody walks in, check the ballot box daily. That starts tomorrow or the next day.
Okay, we need to post that too. And I will say this right now, that part of the money that we're looking at to upgrade the building and go to Teams meetings is gonna involve getting the different set of microphones with the boom. But we will probably also keep this set up, because these work outside, they work anywhere, you're not gonna be walking around carrying a boom with a stand. So we should end up looking really good for anything we do outside. That's what I'm trying to get to, is because in the summer, we may do something outside. The mics will pick up easily 50 yards away. Okay? Okay. So as always, the public gets the last word. So we'll open it up for public comment. If anybody's got anything to say, come on up, state your name and where you're from, and the microphone should be working there. Sure, whoever gets there first, have a race. Yeah, actually, for somebody watching.
Jan Krieger, Lyon Township. I have, probably a good 4 or 5 pots of geraniums that I can donate that weekend that we do the cleanup. I actually found them alongside the road, but they're geraniums and deer will eat them. Yeah, so they have to either be sprayed or netted, which
Wow,
I
you're
can-
bringing up a whole lot right there. Let me
Yeah,
ask you this
yes.
first. Will you plant them other
Sure.
than donate? Just
Sure. You
She's
can
coming
have
with
pots
me.
and all.
Yeah, she's
You can leave
coming
them
with it.
right in
Okay.
the pots.
Second part being, my neighbors have the same problem and they use netting. I personally don't care that deer eat plants. They eat crap in my yard all the time, but I know people get upset about that.
Yeah.
So I don't want to turn into having deer wars here. Maybe we should look for plants that we know they don't eat. But the netting does work reasonably well, but they pull that right off too.
Well, the flowers will go through the holes in the netting, and then they eat the flowers off, and all you have is green sticks. Yeah. But if you can, I'll see if I can find some hangers, and instead of hanging the artificial ones, around that door,
So the deer stand on their hind legs and
Yeah,
knock them down?
yeah, there
They
you
do
go.
that in my yard.
There you go.
Higher up I put it, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
You just
I
whack
know.
the hell out of them.
But just keep that in mind.
No, that's great. I would say bring them, sure.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't want to get into one of those protracted. Again, I couldn't care less what they eat, but other people, it is a problem.
Your girls in the office might get upset.
Oh, absolutely. And guess who they'd yell at? Okay, any other comments from the public, sir? Yes, Bruce, come right on up, sir. Right down at the seam on the base, there's a little gray slot. Okay, hang on, it's not on, right, way down there.
There you go.
And then if the light's on, it's on.
Bruce and Ziggy, Lyon Township. So in regards to the compost, there was a time that everybody had to get a tag from the township. And there was always a person there that presented it. Well, they haven't done that in years. So now you have people coming from all different townships, bringing their stuff into the compost. So I just suggest that, just a suggestion that we,
Are you talking like a
Start
full-time
enforcing that.
person?
pardon?
Are you talking, well, we're already gonna have somebody there when it's open. Are you talking
Yeah,
about when it's
The person
not
that's
open?
running the compost should be checking for those tags. The tags they used to give them out at the township. And then if you
I
didn't have
thought we
one,
still did, but certainly,
yeah, but nobody's been checking for years. So now you got people coming from all different townships, bringing their stuff into our compost.
We'll make
Good
sure
point.
that stops this
yeah,
year.
the treasurer from hell over here is gonna, he'll be all over that.
I'll sit down there, man. No more fussing about that.
I got checked last year.
One thing I think I mentioned too is we're gonna buy, much better cameras and have 3 of them in there. And, currently the cameras in there, you can't tell a license plate on anything going, you can't see anything. Right, but we're gonna upgrade. I put some money aside to seriously upgrade everything. Are there 2 in the compost site itself? I know there's one at the bathrooms at the park.
3 at the compost site, and then there's 1, 2, 3 at South Park.
No, I'm talking about at the compost site. I wanna put 3 there.
3 of them on the barn.
Okay, because when somebody stole our campaign signs, but we're environmentally conscious enough to throw the wire racks into the recycle dumpsters. Right, that was the problem, because the camera on the bathrooms doesn't show any of that stuff. We need to fix that, get better cameras, better positioning, and that should help slow down, any shenanigans.
Phoenix Park has 1, Samoset has 1, 27 has 3, Park 20, or compost has 3. Town Hall has 1.
Okay. Is there any other comments from the public? Yep, come on up, sir. How you doing? You didn't bang your leg this day, eh? Yeah, not yet, it's right. The day's young.
John? Yeah, John Davis, live in Lyon Township. One quick question is, what does it take to be a contractor? I've got a dump trailer and I've got 3 or 4 yards that I do of my own. A rental house and an empty lot in my home. Am I a contractor?
No, the contractor has 24-hour access to the compost site. They have their own key to get in.
Okay, all right, yeah. Don't have that, don't want to. With regards to the budget, today let me back up just a second. In my opinion, a budget is a plan. And it's a plan that you do your best to figure out how it's gonna need, what you've used in the past, et cetera. You referred to it today as a snapshot in time. I look at that as like a balance statement that a bank might ask you, show me what you are right now. My question is, relative to the budget that you guys inherited when you took office, at the end of this month, that I understand is the end of the fiscal year, will the township be over budget, under budget, right on the budget, or does it even matter?
That's a real good question, because it actually, to me, and the understanding that I have now that I didn't have before, but is still not great, it's really about balancing the expenditures and the revenue. And when I said snapshot, I was trying to relate it to the fact that it is constantly moving. The revenue and the expenditure is constantly rolling. All we did was stop it right here for a second, put some numbers out, and look backwards for a year and correct all the mistakes in the past year and set the tone going forward. I do know that our bottom line, we're good. Our general fund, we're nowhere near being in problems with our general fund. So the ability for the other funds and the other departments, they're all looking pretty good too. There is a piece of paper, John, earlier today when we were talking about that fire truck and you were here, I don't know that everybody understands that we passed that as a motion in a meeting to pay for that truck, and the intent is to put the money back. And I got a feeling some people think they're looking at it like they just took the money from this millage and they put it in the other millage. The intent is to put it back when the next revenues come in. That's what I mean about this rolling snowball you have. It is very hard to make a determination and say that something's balanced. I can say that the revenues and the expenditures are looking pretty good.
So,
Yeah, I know. Nobody was more surprised than me, John, to find out that this is not about balancing a budget.
Well, I'm not asking if it's balanced or not, I'm just asking what the difference would be between what's actually been spent and what was proposed to be spent.
On that paper, it should show you, did you get a copy of it earlier today for the budget?
Yeah, I did.
There's the previous year, the money that was spent in the last year and the proposed year. So you can look right across that left to right. If there are parentheses around something, that means there is a deficit, but it doesn't mean the money isn't there. It just means potentially that the money hasn't come back in or some other aspect of it.
So I should easily be able to find those two totals and subtract one from the other.
If you go to the bottom, the very last thing, the bottom line, yes, you can do that, but yes, you can do that. On the last page, the bottom line for all the departments.
Okay, thank you.
You should be able to anyway.
My last question, or it's actually not a question. Yeah, it is a question. With regards to the proposed sewer project and GLUA, I would congratulate you on your efforts and your success in stopping the sewer and probably eliminating, seeing the elimination of GLUA. But I personally was in favor, still am in favor of a sewer around Higgins Lake, and I think the step system would have been what we needed. I have to wonder, as I understand the PA 155 results, were more residents in the SAD were in favor of the step system sewer than those that opposed it. And if that's true, and maybe it isn't, I don't have a copy of that. I've seen reports, but I know it was about acreage, but when it gets right down to the number of residents, property owners in the SAD, I'm told that more of them were in favor than were not. And if that's true, what are you going to say to those residents this summer. And thank you for your time.
Thanks, John. I would only offer that possibly Mr. Monet has a better handle on the numbers if he wanted to give you any information for the acreage versus people situation. I have certainly seen things in the past that did not coincide with that. The acreage, the amount of people involved, it's the acreage that got it past the 50%, but I really don't want to open that. As I stated, it's done. You know?
Yes, it is over. But
I would say, yeah.
You say over and over, it was a majority of the people that didn't want it. And the people in the SAD, you can debate whether or not the church should have been in it, or whether the township should have been in it or not. Take them out of it. And let's forget about the PA 155, and let's just look at a popular referendum, a vote, you might say, of residents in the SAD. And I am quite sure you're going to find that there were more residents in favor than not in favor. And I think it's a travesty then, if that's the case, and I hope you'll look into it. I hope that you will stop saying that the majority of people, because they voted you guys in. Yeah, they voted you in because they didn't want to spend the money, but more importantly, a lot of people, when we had the general election, were involved in the township-wide septic ordinance. And that really brought the people out. Nobody wanted to pay, live over on the other side of the hill for an inspection. And they found out they were gonna. And God bless them, they elected you guys, and congratulations. But it still doesn't make the majority of the SAD people. Are you following me? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Well, absolutely, but I mean, for me personally, all I can do is say thanks for the comment. As I stated personally before, and I'm not no slight to you, I just cannot channel my head backwards into this stuff. I got to move forward. There may be other board members who have a little bit more detail and could give you numbers. I'm probably not going to chase it anymore.
John, as far as, PA 188 and the 4.5 years I've been involved, I've come to the conclusion, I don't think there'll ever be a conclusive answer of what the numbers were. I've had other people look at it, only because, and this was the challenge with lawsuits and other stuff that might have been pending, was the sufficiency of petitions. And petitions collected after the fact, petitions discarded based on a new SAD in this, and some were, out of that 40, they found 10 had mistakes. Things weren't possibly at that time. I'm not making excuses, but I've tried to unravel this, as Patty has asked before too, about, and Sue Gelderblum as well, about the numbers. And unraveling this, I don't think we'll ever truly know, because of the way they were collected and the way that some were put over here and some were put over here. And I don't think we'll ever know, even though I have the numbers at my house. But there are people on that list who go, no, I didn't want to vote yes. And it's not even worth talking. I just know that it's going to be very difficult to ever get a true answer.
Thank you. I'm afraid my 3 minutes are up.
Don't hurt yourself.
David Bookless, Lyon Township.
Is that green light on that thing? Okay, you might have to hold it a little closer.
David Bookless, Lyon Township. I hear a lot of ABCs, USCs, and EIOs being kicked around, and I'm not really following that. But my question is, statement. We know that there are septic tanks in and around this lake that are leaching effluent into Higgins Lake. And it seemed the prior administration was at least moving forward and getting certain things done. Now that it's all been put off to the side, what is being done to stop the poop and the pee from leaking in to Higgins Lake? Where is it going forward? What is happening? What's the next step?
Thank you, sir. I can give you some information. We live in this, that we have this job and we're here all the time. And then other people come to the meetings, and I understand and I appreciate that the information is not getting out there the way that I would like it to be. Just a brief background, we did over 600 inspections. There was only 10 fails, and they were all right on the waterfront. We did an ask. We have always said we're going to do something about this. Then the state of Michigan, right in their lame duck at the end when they changed, got all fired up, was going to pass a septic ordinance for the state. So we pulled back a little bit. Okay, let's see what they're going to do here. And that never came to fruition. We did an ask for the lakefront people, not an ordinance or a resolution. We asked them, if you live on the lake, based on the data that we're getting for the inspections, get a septic inspection done within 2 years. We are going to start creating a septic ordinance and adding pieces to it. And the first one is going to be to do a point of sale and a time of transfer, which means that if you sell your property, you need to do it. And we are, again, as a board, I'm saying we, which this guy just loves. The board will decide as to whether that's going to actually be septic and well. I lean that way. Point of sale, time of transfer means if there's a transfer of the title, but that's just step one. We are then going to address for the rest of the township. And again, I don't want to say we, there is some discussion about why you would even go outside of the Higgins Lake watershed for this. There's a lot of Lyon Township that's actually in the Muskegon River watershed. We as a board will have to decide with a septic ordinance whether we're going to deal with any of the watershed issues, and then we're going to add pieces to it and get feedback from people and try and create something that is the most workable thing, least intrusive, not going to cost $1 million, but addresses the problem. And my original estimate was that I would hope that we could get to 85% of the septic systems within a 3 to 4 year period. And in working with the Central Michigan District Health Department, that means that we then have them, at least that many of them, all mapped and located, and they had at least an initial inspection to see if everything's really screwed up or not. Again, without saying the word we, that's the direction that this board will have to start discussing the fine points of. So in answer to your question, the short answer is yes. The longer answer is all of what I just said. But there will not be high-performance tank mandates. There will not be you need to suddenly change your current system up to current state code. If you need a replacement, it's going to just be meet state code. A couple of other things that we will add in there, and yes, we're going to get there. The state of Michigan slowed us down a month, but that's where we're headed. I appreciate your concern. We're concerned too. We ran on the same thing. Just don't go crazy, don't spend so much money, and don't put us in debt for 40 years. Go ahead.
In retrospect, I would say we shouldn't have waited for the state. Our biggest concern, as a board, we disagree on length of time. I want something 2 years, everybody complies, or the hell with it. Others want 3, 4, and 5. I think that's too much. If we do have a potential problem right now in there, and no tests show us that, other than these bad ones, that it's an immediate thing, I'd say immediately, in my mind, would be 2 years. Give them a little time, put some money together. I don't want them to spend $18,000 on a septic tank. No, I don't want them to do that. But if they got a problem, that's up to them to fix, not their neighbors on either side or not the neighbor a half mile away. It's on them. But we're not going to know that unless everybody's tested and registered with the health department. All this stuff is necessary. That's just a personal opinion.
Does affect the neighbors, doesn't it?
And one more thing that slowed. No, it's one more thing that has slowed everything down. We actually have in place for the township a 3-tiered inspection setup where you could choose which one you wanted to get to kind of defray the cost a little bit. But the Central Michigan District Health Department, who tracks all of this stuff, we set it up so that it would all be able to go right to them, and they got hacked, computer hacked a couple of months ago, just blew them up. There was some stuff about other counties too. You might have heard on the news about 6-8 weeks ago. Believe it or not, they cannot accept a septic inspection right now. So we can do them, but we're going to have to store them on our own, and that's fine. They will not be up to speed to be able to put a map out and say, okay, all of these locations, we don't know what's there yet until September. So that's just one of the realities we got to live with here, because we want to channel it all through them. They're the people we should be working with and will be working with. But their data system is completely dismantled right now, and they're trying to put it back together so nobody can get in there. My best guess is somebody hacked it and got names and addresses, something out of there that did not go well.
And I'd like to add, so one of the biggest points of contention I had with the septic ordinance that was in place was, at the end of the day, and I talked to Larry Maduri, but I talked to many people about this, any home that is not on record, that's where we should have started. It is not my responsibility to find your septic tank. I don't care if it's 150 years old. If you're not on record, you should be the ones that are looked at first and get on record. So your neighbors know what's going on once it's on record. You know what's going on. And if there's upgrades, well, I had replaced mine 2.5 years ago. That's not my responsibility to take care of your yard. So I wish that's where they would have started. I hope we end up at that point really going after homes that are not on record, just to see. Maybe they're functioning fine, maybe not.
Yeah, and that's really where we were so close, and then they got hacked. Now there's no way to know who's there. There are no records until, but I agree with you 100% on the whole point. Whether we're doing the township or the water basin, it comes down to, all right, who does not have an inspection on record? That's where we got to kind of look first. Well, and that's the whole point. If it's not on, at least we end up with a diagram and a location on that particular piece of property. And in that fetch system that Health Department uses, then it's all ends up color-coded, and you can zoom in and out of there, and you can figure out if you got it here, you don't have it there. It's all a beautiful thing. It's just, we lost a major tool for at least 6 months. Yeah, we're trying. We're going to get there.
I would just say one thing that I keep thinking of, and I never hear it from anybody. And it's great, though. I agree with septic inspections and all that, but I never hear the hundreds of thousands of people who are in that lake for 3 to 4 months, all day long, what that does. I don't know, maybe somebody knows, but I'm sure that affects the lake a lot more than a couple septics leaking in. I could be wrong, but I'm sure there's a lot going in.
Are you suggesting that people are going in the lake and peeing?
If it stopped at peeing, he'd be okay.
Isn't it supposed to turn red?
What, in regards to the budget, I'm glad you said that, because I had thought of this and then it skipped my mind. We can put some money into doing some water testing right in the South State Park on the 4th of July. I'd really like to know what those numbers are. Because everybody they don't look they got bathrooms, they don't look that way. My family cottage is right next to it. I see it all, and it's just like, this has got to have some significant impact somehow. They did the study looking for pharma and PFAS, and the thing that they actually found a lot of was caffeine. And they actually proved that the caffeine is high in there, and some low-grade pharmaceuticals, which actually could be tetracycline. So what it really showed is you might have a bunch of zit-faced teenagers who drinking Red Bull all down at the lake, and when they all pee, it's possible that can actually show up to that extent when you do the test. Good point. Good reminder. We can put some money into going down there and see, because if that is a skyrocket reading, it ain't going anywhere fast.
I make a motion that we close the meeting.
Sorry. Okay, any more public comments? See you, Brian. Oh, you're coming up. Didn't mean to say you were
No,
leaving.
no, you're cool. I've been on the,
Oh, he doesn't have to give a name.
sorry, Brian Cook, Lyon Township. I've been on the Higgins Lake Utilities Authority for about 10 years now. I've been waiting for someone to say this, but I haven't heard it yet. The step system as designed for around Higgins Lake is by far the most costly of any sewer system you can ever design. Way, way more than any other system. All systems, you have an initial cost and you have an ongoing cost. Be very careful if you ever look at this, because you can save $10 million on the back end by spending $1 million up front. And that's something that's not typically looked at. The HLUA, we have that. We've got massive costs because of the original design. When you originally designed to make it the cheapest possible to install, your back end costs are gonna blow you out of the water. So be very, very careful about that. And like I said, I'm not for or against or anything else, but the step system as designed is probably almost twice the cost of any other system, because they're replacing the septic tank, and that's not what gets done when you put step systems in. You use the existing tank. So there's a massive cost there. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Is there any other public comments?
Can I yell from here?
Uh,
Yeah.
Depends on how big your mouth is, I guess.
are you gonna yell, I want you to adjourn this meeting?
Sam Bedoyan Jr., Lyon Township. Statement. Kevin, in the Higgins Lake, since the dam's busted down there by Midland, there's been a lot of boats on the lake. I'm an avid boater. The last several years, it just seemed common that the regular weekend now, there's a lot of traffic out there. So look at that as far as access to more people using the lake and more boats. Number two, the recycling bins. Are they gonna still be maintained outside? When Bruce was talking about other people that have been using our facilities at our expense, when we were when we had recycling of pop cans, we were there quite often. There's quite a few people there that I would ask on my own. There were non-residents. So my question is, if those recycling bins are used by outside sources and they're full, somebody has to pay to have it come out, pick it up, and replace it with an empty. So I don't know the cost of that. Now, if you're gonna have a gentleman inside, checking people to have those free permits, that person can walk out to the recycling bins and do the same thing to get the message out that you need to be a resident of Lyon Township to use those privileges. Or the other option is, of course, you might get a rebuttal, is you put those recycling bins back inside the gates. And the last thing, I will stand here and rebut that the step system, along with what Brian says, is not a real sewer to begin with. I've said that since day one. And since it's not a real sewer, then look at going to the facility and see why there's some 400 some residents in Camp Cornelia that has a real sewer. go check out the facility. You all can have a tour date for people that are second guessing the step system. Go out there and check that facility and see how it works compared to the step system. I've said it's never been a real sewer like, I'll say it again, where you were born in the city, sewers. Everything flows, not there. When you have to pay 6, 7 years later to have all the number 2 dug up and carried off, that's not a real sewer. So if you want a real sewer, get a cost first. Get a cost, maybe. That's what's been fighting for 4 years. I'm done talking. Thank you.
Sam, just to touch on your recycling bins. So I don't think I brought this up earlier, but we're gonna replace those 5 bins outside with one roll-off box with a lid. Because in talking with the gentleman from GFL, it doesn't matter. You can mix everything into the box. We're gonna leave the one outside once we replace these 5. But then on holiday weekends, we're gonna put it inside the gate just to minimize that. So we'll see if it works. I mean, it's a work in progress, but we give that a try.
On the same token, Sam, I brought that up, the few meetings that I went to before, I brought that up to Eric, who does lawns and things, plus 2 other board members, and they said the bins are outside because of the convenience for the people here. Will I admit it's convenient? Damn right, I can go there and I'm a quarter of a mile away. 7 days a week, anytime I want to. But I have my free tag. I got my tag 16 years ago, and it's always in the window. It doesn't cost a dime. You just go and do this stuff. If we're gonna have a guy in there, maybe we pay him a little more money if he's gonna be in a compost site. If we're gonna have it, and make him go in the gate. I'm all for that. I was before, but I'm not gonna beat on a dead horse anymore. So I just don't say anything. But if it comes up for a vote, I'll vote for putting them back inside every single time.
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now, but yes, good point. There's a lot to talk about there. Absolutely. For going back to the public comment here, go ahead.
Bill Cleaves, Lyon Township. I think if any sewer system comes, it should be treated system, and then we should think about putting in fire hydrants at the same time.
Well, something I didn't mention before is that all of what we would do, all of those efforts are to do something, do more testing. And if it looks like a septic ordinance and everything that we can try and do at the base level, to me, you don't even talk about a sewer until we do all of that stuff. Interestingly enough, in Garrish, they're talking about putting in individual wells for certain spots where people are too close. That's starting to flirt with that, having a water supply situation. I'm sorry, you go right ahead.
I just have one more.
You go ahead. We're here to serve. Well, listen.
Your job.
Is it red or green? Might still work long enough for you to get something in.
I'll just speak louder.
Well, yeah, well, that too.
One of the things that I found on the west side of 127, almost straight across from here, was a bunch of garbage that was dumped there. And I've seen garbage dumped all along the roads, not as much as it used to be, but still prevalent. I don't know if it's necessarily the people in this county that dumps that stuff in the woods, but it seems to me that having garbage dumpsters available to whoever is in our best interest so that we don't have to look at all the garbage that people dump.
You're making an excellent point there.
I do my best.
I concur. As long as it's there, then they don't have an excuse.
And there's also the point of that you guys pay taxes. We use your taxes accordingly. if we were to spend money on having more dumpsters, I'm not saying that's a horrible idea. Sure, everybody would use them, but isn't that the point? Right?
Oh, yeah, keeps it out of the woods,
Yeah.
out of the rivers.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, are there any other comments before this turns into just a party here? Oh, here we go. Well, I have to use that so that it,
Well, we can try. It's kind of dead.
all right, yeah, it'll hang in there and then all of a sudden it'll quit, boom. It was on, you should be good.
Just 2 points. As far as the septic thing goes, it's not just the lakes, like I said. This is everybody's homes. Whatever's seeping out there is in your water that you drink, that you bathe, or cook with. So it's more than just that. And as far as the state one goes, that thing's been sitting there for 10 years. If you look at the record, they're still sitting on it for 10 years. Well, I wouldn't wait on them too much.
Thank you, yeah, because we kind of waited, because if the state did one, that would supersede anything we did. Yeah, no, I don't have any faith they will. Are there any other public comments? Okay, better hurry up here. I would entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting
I make the motion.
at 9:12. We got a motion, we got a second. Sure, me. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right. Thank you for your time, and thank you for showing up with all the comments.